Buell motorcycles, I mean, I'm not quite up to date on exactly where we are, but I think they're in their sort of second or third incarnation now. But on Ride Apart, they're reporting that Buell bikes have just announced that they plan to rejoin global markets. So they're reporting that they've already got a cult-like following in countries like Japan, France, Spain, Brazil, Canada, and Italy, despite being out of those markets for a decade. And the first country to welcome Buell motorcycles out of the US will be Canada, as that's where the brand's focusing its efforts this year. But then they'll also follow up by reintroducing to some of those markets, including the UK. And they say, according to Troy Devlin, director of Biz Dev at Buell Motorcycle Co., we're looking forward to delivering high-performance V-twin motorcycles into the Canadian marketplace first, and the importation of Buell motorcycles into Canada will genuinely increase the recognition that Buell is back. So very cool news. I imagine this will be sort of like a boutique dealers kind of situation, won't it? Like, I'm thinking Crazy Horse with their MVs and Indians, and then they have lots of smaller, interesting brands. It's going to be something like that. You're not going to just see masses of big Buell dealerships springing up all over the country next year. But I was thinking, mate, looking at some of these bikes, you know, it's good news that they're available on the market, but are there any that you would actually consider purchasing with your own hard-earned cash? So I thought we'd flick through the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bikes currently offered on their website and see if any of them tickle your fancy. I mean, the one that is front of mind at the moment, I saw Chase on Two Wheels actually did a first ride of this the other day on YouTube, and I was like, God, I'd love to have a go on that, is the Hammerhead 1190 sports bike. It's an 1190 V-twin, as you might have gathered. Makes 185 horses. So not bad. Right up there with the big bikes.
Yeah.
Full carbon bodywork, 190 kilograms wet but no fuel. So probably just over 200 with a full tank. And it's going to start at $20,000, topping out at $25,995 with several options spec'd. Thoughts on this one, Bud?
It sounds exciting. Those specs do sound exciting, and also bearing in mind that it is a V-twin. So with that horsepower, you need to keep that in the back of your mind. And I guess similar to KTM's and Ducatis in terms of maybe the performance, but
yeah, I reckon
with Buells of old, I'd say quite a lot of low end, as in like really, really cheeky acceleration. My dad always, because he absolutely loves Buell, massive fan. And he borrowed one of his mates, and he was saying that you can do overtakes that you really can't do on other bikes because the pickup on it is that immediate and that's strong, right. Which obviously I guess you'd be familiar with as well with Harleys and things. It's that kind of acceleration. So really, really easy. I'm tempted to even call it slightly lazy, but in a good way, if that makes sense. The specs on that sound great, lightweight, sporty, and I do prefer the looks on that because if you look at the older Buells, I think one of my only critiques, I've been tempted to buy one in the past, but the one that you see a lot of are the Firebolts, which I do not like the looks of. I didn't like them when they first came out, and I still don't like them now, whereas the naked version, the XB, was more to my taste. So this one, as far as the sporty variant of their bike, I actually think the fairing on that looks really good. Maybe not that colourway, it's a bit bold.
I think that was one of the sort of more tasty examples on their website, but there are some more muted ones. Yeah. The one that Chase on Two Wheels was riding, I think was more like a silver or something like that. So you've got options. Totally agree, mate, on the looks. The proportions of it look very nice. Yeah. The only thing I will say from that side-on shot is, like, comfort-wise, you know, that is an aggressive, proper sports bike from the looks of things. And so maybe, actually, the next bike on the list, the 1190 SX, which is the naked version, might be a better shout. I don't know. It's the same specs across the board, same engine, I think. It says 185 horsepower, probably similar ballpark for the weight. But, of course, flat bars, no fairing, that sort of thing. And also, it can top out at the same £25,995 if you really spec it up. But the base model starts at $18,995, not $19,995. So you save a little bit of cash. I think this is starting to stray into that slightly unusual aesthetic, though. Even though this is much more appealing to me from an ergonomic perspective.
Yes.
It has a bit of that kind of like, well, the Firebolt, but without the I think there are some naked versions of the Firebolt as well, aren't there?
Yeah.
It had like a half fairing.
There was a half fairing,
just like, yeah. It's starting to get into that area, isn't it? I wouldn't say it's as good looking as the Hammerhead.
I would say for me personally, the Hammerhead looks nicer. I agree with you saying this is probably more rideable, as nakeds generally are, more comfortable at least. And the older you get, that tends to be with ways sort of you lean. But yeah, definitely between them, the Hammerhead's the one that I like the look of more.
We talked about the Super Cruiser as well, didn't we, on an episode quite a while back? But I think this probably gets the same engine, the 1190. And it's basically a cruiser that's been built to ride in a ridiculously sporty and aggressive manner, hence the name. Mm-hmm. And so you've got those lightweight wheels that you'll see something similar on the other bikes, a 17-incher at the front. You've got that seat that's really going to hold you in place, proper sticky Dunlop tyres, decent brakes as well that are sort of comparable to what you get on the other bikes. And yeah, it's all in this kind of like cruiser-like aesthetic. I mean, look where the foot pegs are. They're nowhere near out front, so I think it's going to feel very different to ride to your average Harley or whatever. But certainly looks kind of crazy, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think this gives me, and I've definitely said this last time we brought it out as well, Arch vibes, as in Keanu Reeves' Arch.
Yes, yeah.
For a performance cruiser. I love it. I also think maybe you'll want to wear some shorts with that one, or that's sacrificing your trousers with that chain on show. There's a risk there.
I don't know, mate. It's going to be sacrificing your leg hairs if it's shorts.
That is very true as well. But yeah, I like the look of that one. I like the fact that it offers something quite unique. But then I guess all of these do, because that's what Buell was well known for, is that it did do things slightly differently than other brands.
Oh yeah, that's definitely true of the next couple of bikes. I will say there's no price still on this one. Estimates are in that sort of $20,000 to $30,000 range, which sounds about right for the other bikes that we just talked about. But they are still, and again, I think we mentioned this last time, taking a $50 deposit to get your name on one. So still tempting, mate, just to see what comes of that process. Next up, there's the Super Touring. This is a bike that I'm not sure I can really get on board with from a visual perspective. It's the same. Again, I think they're just using, because they're a smallish company, they're probably just putting that engine in whatever they got. So the 1190, 185 horsepower, still no price on this one either. But it kind of reminds me of something like, you said a KTM, a big, 1290 V-twin. It'll probably feel quite similar. Reminds me a little bit of the Super Duke GT, which I did review a year or two back, which is basically, it's kind of like a Super Duke, but with a little bit more wind protection, slightly more chilled out geometry, I think. Bigger tank, maybe, and also luggage options. And that's what this kind of looks like. It was a bit of an unusual bike, and I will also say the Super Duke GT is not one that I'm a fan of visually either. It's just like a slightly bulkier, slightly more ugly Super Duke. And also in this one, mate, the headlight, I put an extra photo in there for you to have a look at, but what do you make of that?
I can see that. Do you know what?
It's the second pick.
The headlight does not offend me.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you actually serious?
Yeah. I'm being deadly serious. See, we've got different tastes.
You look at that and you're just like, you look at it and you think, you just feel nothing. You just think, yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, it doesn't offend me. It doesn't draw me towards it. It's, I feel meh. It's all right.
Yeah. Okay, I'm surprised at that. No price on this one. Last up in that lineup is something that I don't know what to say about this, mate. It's a Baja Dune Racer. It's an 1190 DR. That stands for Dune Racer. Phenomenally long wheelbase.
Yeah.
Still got the 1190 V-twin. They didn't give a power figure for this, so maybe they've tuned it differently. But let's say it's got the potential to make 185 horsepower.
Yeah.
God knows how you're going to get that down on sand. You're going to need some even more knobbly tyres than those.
Paddles, yeah.
Crikey. Again, concept only, but they're saying this will just cost 20 grand, which is kind of crazy to see a bike like that looks so niche and specialist that will probably be a low run. And again, they're taking $50 deposits on this one, or 50 quid.
So
I can't remember. I was on their website. Probably dollars.
Probably, yeah, most likely. I'd say this one, few things spring to mind. Firstly, when I first saw the photo, I thought maybe you just skewed the photo. You know, when you stretch it accidentally.
Stretched it.
And then I looked at the wheels and thought, no, they're still round. So that's how long it is. Second thought is that if you stuck some handlebars about midway along that, it looked like a bicycle made for two. So you'd have a nice tandem going on.
You'd get the whole family on there, wouldn't you?
But this is not a circle I move in, so I don't know what you need from a Baja Dune Racer, and I can imagine this is probably what you need, so it's really cool.
You've got £50 deposit, burning a hole in your pocket. Choose a bike, mate.
Do you know what? I'm going for the Super Cruiser.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
I think I could actually ride that, and it would be a real party piece, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good shout. Second would be the Hammerhead, but yeah, for me, probably the Super Cruiser.